Joining me now from Southern California, Vice President of Communications with the Howard Jarvis Taxpayers Association, Susan Shelley. Susan, enrollment in Covered California, which is the California version, I guess, of Obamacare, down, and now the radical governor considering a mandate. This is not surprising to you, is it? I mean, you've been following these things and the trajectory of California for many, many years. This amounts to forcing people into a private transaction. That's number one. It amounts to a tax, in my mind, number two. And number three, it's an attack on liberty.
It absolutely is, but mostly it's an attack on arithmetic. Because the problem always was with the Affordable Care Act that unless younger, healthier people agreed to buy things they don't need, the thing wasn't fiscally sound. And that's still the problem. And so what happened in Congress in the tax bill is they set the penalty at zero when they did that bill. And so something like 300,000 people said, you know, I don't really want this, I don't really need this. And now Governor Newsom is saying California will force you to buy health insurance. I don't think it's going to work. People can always just leave, which they're doing anyway.
Meantime, on the other side of the spectrum, on the medical spectrum, if you will, Medicaid, this guy, Newsom, is cooking the books right now.
Is he ever? You know, the Legislative Analyst's Office looked at the budget numbers last November and projected a surplus of something like $14 billion, which is very nice, except, of course, that many things are off the books, like the unfunded pension liability, so there really isn't any kind of a surplus at all. However, even that wasn't enough for Governor Newsom. He decided to project that Medi-Cal spending, which is what we call Medicaid here in California, Medi-Cal spending would be less than projected. On the basis of what? On the basis of what we call in California a certain type of budgeting known as yippee-yahoo.
So what would be the reason for this? Just to make the books look brighter?
No, he just made a lot of promises during the campaign to a lot of groups. He promised free kindergarten and free child care and free home nurse visits and all kinds of free expansions of education spending with nothing behind it but wishful thinking.
So he's got his eyeballs, his beady eyeballs on that money for something else. And so this points, you swerved into something there before I go to another issue. You swerved into the pension system in California. This is a ticking time bomb. This is something that's technically not on the books. This is an unfunded liability for all people who happen to reside in California, and that is this exorbitant, lavish Cadillac retirement plan for state workers.
It's just it's unaffordable. And it was unaffordable. We were doing okay until about 1999, and then the numbers looked a little too good, and Gray Davis and the legislature decided, let's retroactively increase pensions for everyone who works for the state of California. So they did, and now we're paying for it.
Prop 13. Well. Prop 13 is also, it's actually a law. People still call it Proposition 13, but it's a law born of Proposition 13. And what that did was it stabilized property taxes for people who own property in California. And now, of course, the liberals have their beady eyeballs on this to try and undo it, at least from the business perspective.
Definitely. There's a measure that has qualified with the help of the teachers union. Signatures were gathered for a measure which is going to, if it passes, revoke Proposition 13's protections from business properties.
And so that would spiral up necessarily. The property taxes would spiral up, right?
Right. Proposition 13 puts a cap on how much property taxes can go up every year until the property changes ownership. So what would happen is it would be a tax increase on every business in California simultaneously every year.
And so why would, I think I know the answer to this question, but why would the teachers' unions be in favor of revoking Prop 13 for the businesses?
Well, they just want the money. You know, we just saw this in Los Angeles. There was a strike by UTLA, the United Teachers of Los Angeles, and they, in the negotiations, decided that they could spend the money from the repeal of Prop 13 for businesses in the third year of their contract, and therefore it wasn't insolvent, and the county didn't have to take over the district because it wasn't insolvent.
When you look at something like this, obviously if they have their eyes on Prop 13 for businesses, eventually they're going to have their beady eyes on Prop 13 for individuals as well.
Right.
You're looking at, to me, the vestiges of the final moments of a once great state, because if at some point these people get their way and the property taxes start spiraling up, you got to remember, last I heard, I think the median priced home in Southern California is $600,000. And you know, $1 million homes are common in Southern California. Well, so this could bankrupt many people in the state of California. force them to move or force them into bankruptcy.
Want to see more videos like this? Click on the link below and subscribe to One America News on YouTube, and call your cable provider and kindly demand that One America News is added to your lineup. Call and subscribe today.